Hi everyone. So today we are going to be making this Monique Satchel by Sew Chic Designs. Now I have done one of these. I had a video up, but I took it down because the beginning of it was, the voice was all crackly. Posted in the community tab that I was going to be redoing this. So today I am redoing this video. And hopefully the voice will be good, okay? So this is a Monique Satchel, and this is what we are going to be sewing today. It is by Sew Chic Designs, and Audrey was very gracious to let me, to approve me to do this video. So let's get over to the sewing table and let's talk about the pieces that we need, and then we will get to sewing this beautiful bag. Okay, let's start with the pieces that we'll need for this bag, for the Monique Satchel by Sew Chic Designs. You will need 2 pieces of strapping cut at the sizes that she gives you in the pattern. You will need a piece for your strap connectors. Cut it at 1 piece, and when we put it together, then we will cut it in half. You will need 2 O-rings at the size she gives you. I am using gate rings because I do not have O-rings in the color that I'm using, in the silver. And the pattern calls for a twist lock, but I am going to use magnetic locks, or magnetic snaps. I do not have a silver twist lock in this color either. Then you are going to need 2 flat pieces. This is the exterior. I have gone ahead and quilted mine. You don't have to, but that's what I did. And I put a piece of foam in here and then covered it with SF-101 before I quilted it. Then you will have the lining piece. Your lining piece does not get any interfacing on it. You will have 2 exterior, a front and back piece. I quilted this too. I put foam in here, keep it out of the seam allowance, and then I put SF-101 on it. And I also marked my front and back pieces. And I quilted these. Then you will have 2 lining pieces. You want to put SF-101 on those, front and back pieces. You have a zipper pocket lining. Now I am going to do an overlay on mine. I always do overlay on my zipper pockets. I am not putting in a slip pocket on the other side. If you want to, by all means, you can do that. Or you can just put a zipper pocket like I'm doing, or you can have no pockets at all. That is up to you. I did not put SF-101 on mine. You can if you want. I like my pocket piece to be kind of flimsy. It's just my preference. Then you'll have 2 side pieces cut at your exterior. I quilted these 2, put foam and then SF-101 on them. 2 side lining pieces, SF-101. This is quilt cotton also. Then I have my bottom piece. Now you can put your bottom piece the same color as your exterior, but I did not, since I am using a vegan faux suede, because if you put the bag down on something, it could get dirty on the bottom, and I don't like that. So this is a lot easier to just wipe off. So I'm using a vinyl. And then, oh, sorry. And I put Decaville Heavy on the bottom. I did not put SF-101 on top. You can use Peltex, Decaville Heavy, or you can use foam, whichever you choose. and then my bottom lining piece with SF101 on it. And those are all of the pieces that you need to do this bag. So let's get over to the machine and let's start sewing this. And the first step we're going to do is we're going to make our strap, and you should have 2 pieces. And I'm going to be doing mine a little bit different than hers. So you want to put them, you want to line these up, put them right sides together, and you're going to sew at the seam allowance that she gives you. Now this part here is the same as what she does. Back stitching. Then I am opening this up. I'm going to butterfly this, and I'm going to top stitch on both sides of this line. Oops. Butterfly. And back stitch on that one. But this other one, I'm going to pull the stuff through on the other side and tie it off. Okay, so it should look like that. Okay, so you want to take your strap once it's sewn together in the center. There. And you want to lay it out, and you want to draw a line down the center, and then you want to put tape on both sides. You can use 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to want to pull the paper off, and you're going to want to fold it up to that line on this side, and then fold this one up to that line on this side. And then I will show you how I sew mine. Okay, so I'm going to take that off, take the paper off, and do all the folding offline, and then I will come back and show you how to sew it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this. So first of all, I sewed part of this and my camera shut off. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It just drives me crazy. You want to take this and you want to take a brayer and roll down the center of it, the whole length. That way it sticks your folded end better to the strap. Okay, so then you're going to want to stitch on the inside like I did. And you're going to do that on both sides. Okay? So go ahead and do that. I won't show you again how I did it. Well, it's just a regular top stitch at 1/8 of an inch from the edge of that fold. Not the fold, the center line. And you just go down like this. Make sure you're on a top stitch length of your stitching, which on my machine it's 4.5 to 5. And just go all the way down the center and on both sides, okay? And then I will show you how we put the rest of it together. Okay, so once you got that sewed down the centers, you want to take your gate rings or your O-rings, whichever you're using, and you're going to want to put those on there. And then what we're going to do, oops, got to tie that one off. So then we are going to take these, make sure you get everything straight so it's not all twisted. And you are going to want to put your right sides together like that on your straps. And we're going to sew across here at the same seam allowance that we did here. And we're going to top stitch that too as well. This one I am going to back stitch on. Okay. Then we're going to butterfly that. And we're going to top stitch across there. Okay, through there. Make sure your strap is all. And you want to take one O-ring and you want to put it on this end, fold it down, and you want your seam to be about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch down from the O-ring. You don't want your seam on, you don't want the O-ring on your seam, because over time it'll pull that that seam apart. So you want it to be at least 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch down. Then take a clip and clip it. Hi, Molly Mae. What's it doing? Huh? And then you take the other O-ring. Make sure your wrong sides are facing each other. Take your other O-ring. And you're going to do the same thing. You want it to be 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch down. Clip that. And then I usually make a mark about 1/4 inch underneath that seam. and 1/4 of an inch. Well, yeah. One of your seams is going to be showing. And no, it doesn't. If you can make it work a different way, then that's fine. But I never can. So, 1/4 of an inch down from there. And we are going to sew on the edge. We're going to sew on this outer edge. We're going to start in the center. We're going to come down. Sew down all the way, keeping this straight. Down to that mark that you made. Pivot, go around, and come back up this way and over here. And you're not going to backstitch. That will attach your 2 pieces together. That way this will not be showing, because those will be back to back. And you'll have 4 lines down your. Now what we can do is we can take a little, I don't know, forget that thought. So I'm going to start this and then I will finish it offline. So what I do is I usually start in the center or somewhere on that line. Take my clip off. Make sure everything is, now you can tape that. That way you make sure that it's straight, or you can clip it. I just wing it. Living life on the edge. Pivot. You might need a hump jumper on there because you're going to be going over that. So then your strap should look like this. And then you can set that aside. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and do this little strap connector part. So you're going to want to draw a line down the center. Oops, what the heck? Quarter inch. Tape on the sides. Paper off. And tape it, or stick it. Now what I try to do is I try to tape up to that red line or my mark, and then tape the other one up to that red line or my mark. And I try to leave the center so I can see that mark. Now we're going to top stitch around here. And I'm just going to go all the way around it. So that part's done, and we will set this aside for later also. Now we are going to work on the flat piece. So let me go get that. Okay, you want to grab your lining piece of your flap. And what I did, since my seam allowance is that much, I am using magnetic straps or snaps, so I am measuring up from that line 1 inch. And what do I want to do? I want that to be one, two, three. No, 2.5 inches away from the center. I want to make a dot. Oops. And make sure that I'm up 1 inch. And then 2.5 inches away from that center and make a dot. And this is where I am going to cut the holes for my, what might be the male piece. I'm going to take this hole here, and I'm going to lay it on that mark. And then I'm going to cut here and cut here. I'll put this over here. And I'm going to there and cut there. Okay. So I'm going to fold this and I'm going to cut. I'm going to fold this and I'm going to cut. And I fold this and make a snip and a snip. Then I turn it over on the right side, and yeah, that's right. I'm gonna go get some fray check, but I'm just gonna set that on there for right now. Where's my fray check? There, I'm gonna go get some fray check and a piece of Decaville light. So what I did here was I usually cut some little circles that are about the size of this piece here out of Decaville Light, and I put it under here, and then I put fray check on it to make it stick, and I put my metal washer over it, and I bend my prongs in, and I do that on both of these. And there's my male pieces on my lining. I like to use a round size reinforcement so that the metal doesn't stick through there over time, because if you use a square, sometimes it hangs out this way and it makes a little bump, and you can tell that you put a square there. If you make it just a little bit bigger than what this round piece is and make it the same shape, you're sticking it right there and you're not going to get any overhang. That's my method of doing that. So we're going to save these for the actual bag part. So we will put these off to the side. And then we will put the flat pieces together. So you're going to take your lining piece and you're going to take your exterior flat piece, and you are going to put them right sides together. And you want to clip all the way around. Well, no, don't clip up here because you're going to leave this open. So clip around here. And when you sew, you're going to sew up against this foam all the way around, and you're going to stop up here. Okay, so you might want to make a mark showing you that you need to stop right there. Got a little loop-de-loop here going on. So we're going to sew all the way around here. And you want to turn your stitch down to 4 or whatever a regular stitch is on your machine. You do want a back stitch. Follow that all the way around. So now you want to take your scissors and you want to snip right along here. about 1/8 of an inch away from that that seam. Don't get into the seam. And you're going to want to clip this off at an angle right there. And then do that on the other side. And then we're going to cut, and we're going to cut in like this at an angle down to about 1/4 of an inch. We're going to trim that off. Same at the bottom. Same at the top. When you get close to that mark, you want to kind of angle off like that. I didn't angle mine off good enough there. There. So the top is kind of angled off like that. Okay? And then you still have your clips on your sides there that you did. Now we're going to turn this inside out, right side out, inside out. If we can. Okay, I'm going to get something to run along the edges in there to open up them seams and to make the corners more round or whatever. Okay. Along there, around the bottom. Okay, and then run it around here to open these up more. Okay, now you want to set that down and kind of and get my big clips here. Nope, those are my little ones. Now we're going to top stitch all the way around the edge at 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, whichever you prefer. It's up to you. So we're going to top stitch all the way around here at 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch, whichever you prefer. Make sure you make your stitch bigger for a top stitch. And you can back stitch if you want. And that is the flap. Now we are going to put our flap piece onto our back piece, not the front. We're going to lay the front, put the front off to the side. We want our back piece facing up. We want our flap piece facing down, so they're right sides together. You want to match up your notches. If you haven't already notched your back piece, go ahead and notch the center. Your flap should already be notched. You should have about 1/4 of an inch on each side here, hanging over. Make sure your top is even with your flap. The top of your back piece, exterior back piece, and the top of your flap is even. Clip it all the way around the top, and we are going to stitch at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now, the reason why we're using 1/4 of an inch is because if you make it any bigger, when you attach your bag, that seam may show. So only 1/4 of an inch, and we are going to back stitch. I guess I'd use these. Okay, put these away. So now that's done, you want to take your front piece, lay it in front of you. You're going to take your ruler, lay it up here, and you want it to be on the 3.5 mark. And there it is. Okay, so we're going to measure down 3.5, 3.5. Just put like 3 marks with chalk or an erasable pen. You want to take your top and you're going to look at you're going to kind of bend it up so you can see your male part of your snap, and you want to lay that snap, the male part, right on that line. Press down as hard as you can. Make a dent. I'm going to just sneak my pen under there. It's going right there. And that's going right there. So this is where I'm going to make set my washer. I'm going to take my little washer. I'm going to place this hole over that dot that I made. Then I am going to mark that so I know where to cut, and do the same thing over here. Okay. Now I know where to cut. And I will be right back. I'm going to take this on my table and I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and cut my holes. And you want to make them only as big as your line there. Okay? Okay, I got my holes made. So I'm going to take one of these female pieces. The other's a male. I get them mixed up. I'm going to stick the little prongs in each of those holes that I made. Probably going to have to cut it more. There. Oops. All right, got that one. Where is my free check? It was just here. What did I do with the, oh, there it is. A little bit of free check on there. Then you want to put your piece on there, and then grab your washer, put your little round piece on there that's going to protect your stuff. Bend it in. Bend it in. Now this one, I am going to put a piece of tape over this. Then you do the same thing with the other side. Oh, my hole's not big. Ooh, yo! Okay. Take your other one, other female end. Did I? Nope. Not bleeding. Poke it through them holes. A little bit of fray check. Your little Decaville or foam or whatever you're using there. Your little round protector piece, and then your little washer. And bend it in. Whoops. This is okay. So now we got those. Tape. I'm going to put a just going to lay that over there like that, and it's going to stay there for the rest of my life. There. So now when your bag is done, those will snap. Okay. All right, so now we're going to take this and turn it over. You want your flap down. You want your flap up. And you're going to put your pieces together. That's not right. That is not right. No, 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 no. So now you want to grab your sides. We are going to put the one with the flap on it off to the side. I'm going to turn the front part up, and we're going to take one of the side pieces and we are going to match it up. And clip it all the way down. Take your other side piece, right sides together. I'm going to clip this one also. Okay, so then we're going to sew right up against this foam from top to bottom, top to bottom. Actually, we are going to sew from here, the top of that. We're going to stop at the top of the foam. Okay, so you want to put make sure your stitching is back on normal. And we are going to sew this. Just make sure your needle's riding up against that or your presser foot is riding up against that foam. It's a good idea if you use a narrow foot or if you use a zipper foot. And then you go all the way to the bottom. Okay. Now I am going to do something after I get these two sides on here. Now you start at the bottom and go up to that line that we made. That mark that we made. All right, now she doesn't require this on her pattern, but I'm going to do it because I did it on the other 2 bags of these that I made. I'm going to open this up. I want to butterfly my seams. So I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to top stitch. I just think when the bag is all done, it helps it to not have those bubbly sides. That's just my opinion. I don't like when the sides are really bubbly looking. Now what you want to do is you want to change this to top stitching. And you're going to have to keep your finger on there underneath to keep that open, and you want to go slow, and you want to check to make sure that your seams down there are open periodically. You don't have to do this if you think, because the very last piece that you put on is going to be a little bit difficult, and I'll show you what I mean. And I'm going only to that top part, and I'm going to pivot over it. Sure that and it'll look like that on the sides. It just makes it, when the bag is all done, it just makes it sit better, I think. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this other side, and then I'll come back and we'll do the back side. So at this time, when you get this front piece done, if you're going to put a logo on the front, now would be a good time to do that. I am not going to do that. My logo is going to be on the inside, if I remember. So your front piece should look like this if you're doing it the way that I'm doing mine. Oops. Ooh, sorry about that. So that's how your front piece should look. So we'll take our back piece and we are going to attach it. You want to have your flap up. You want this right side up. And, well, Let's do it this way. You're going to take this side. You want the bottom to match the bottom. You're going to clip it. And that should hit, yep, and it does. It hits the, you're going to stop just like 1/8 of an inch under that line, or under that corner of that foam. And go ahead and clip your side together. Oops. Okay, so that should all be clipped. And we're going to sew this one right now. Sorry. You want to start at that mark that you made. That's about 1/8 of an inch below that foam, and you want it right up next to that foam. Look at a back stitch. You're going to sew all the way down to the bottom. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and do the top stitching on this side. Let me check my bobbin. I think that might be... Oh. Looks like I'm okay. Oh, come on. There we go. Something's not right. Something's not right. Ooh, we are almost out. I'm gonna wind my bobbin. All right, so you've got this part. Now you're gonna close up the last side. You're gonna start at the bottom, clipping. Make sure everything on your side is even. We're going to start just a hair underneath that foam. So make a mark. Put your needle down right in that mark. Back stitch. Now this is the tricky part of top stitching. So what you're going to do is you're going to open that up. You're going to slide this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Let's see here. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this. Okay, I got my holes made. So I'm going to take one of these female pieces. The other's a male. I get them mixed up. I'm going to stick the little prongs in each of those holes that I made. I'm probably going to have to cut it more. There. Oops. All right, got that one. Where is my fray check? It was just here. Oh, there it is. Put a little bit of fray check on there. Then you want to put your piece on there, and then grab your washer, put your little round piece on there that's going to protect your stuff. Bend it in. Bend it in. Now this one, I am going to put a piece of tape over this. Then you do the same thing with the other side. Oh, my holes look big. Ooh, yo! Okay. Take your other one, other female end. Did I? Nope. Not bleeding. Poke it through them holes. A little bit of fray check. Your little Decaville or foam or whatever you're using there. Your little round protector piece, and then your little washer. And bend it in. Whoops. This is okay. So now we got those. Tape. I'm going to put I'm just going to lay that over there like that, and it's going to stay there for the rest of my life. There. So now when your bag is done, those will snap. Okay. All right, so now we're going to take, I got you on a different view. I'm hoping that you can see it, what I'm doing this way. I'll put you on my other tripod. Okay, so where are we at? We are right here. Okay, so we're gonna butterfly this open. We're gonna lay it in here like this. But as you're sewing down, you're gonna pull this, okay? So you can see what you're doing. It's going to be tricky because you're going to have to use your finger to open this seam up and pull down with this hand. Okay? See what I'm doing so far? I'll try not. Ooh. Hang on there. I'll try not to get my shoulder in the way so you can see. Pull this down. Make sure that stays open. Pull this down. It gets a little bunchy when you get to the top here, so you got to be careful that you don't get a bunch of wrinkles in there. Okay. See what I'm doing here? I'm trying to get these wrinkles out of the way. And I'm only going to go like 1, 2, 3 more stitches there. Now I'm gonna pivot it around. If I can. You definitely want to keep that flap stuff out of your way. So you don't want to go up very far. Pivot around. Pivot around again, if you can. And now you're coming down the other way. You want to pull this open so that gets all the wrinkles out. All right, that is done. Now we will put the bottom on. Okay, so now we're going to put the base piece, the bottom piece, to the bottom of the bag. Now you should have already found your center pieces on this, and you definitely should have your center pieces on the bag part. You're going to line up this first. We're going to work on the long section. You're going to line up the centers. And clip. Make it sure edge to edge, everything's good. So what you want to do is you want to take a pen and you're going to want to mark right here at the edge of your decaville or whatever you use to interface your base. And that's where you're going to sew, in between these two lines. You're going to sew in between these two lines that I marked on there. Okay? Do not want to sew outside of those lines. Okay. I'm thinking I want to. Okay. So we're going to take this, going to lay it down like that, and we're going to sew. And we want to go up against the decaville or whatever stabilizer you're using. And don't forget, you're only sewing in between the two lines. Okay. Put our needle down on that point. And we're going to sew the back stitch. Alright, then you want to take this, and when you do this side, you want to match up your notches. We're gonna mark that right now, right there and right there. See how those lines? Sew in between those two lines. Okay, match up your notches and pin. Or clip, sorry. No pinning on vinyl or suede or faux leather. Okay. So then we're going to push this down. Again, you want to start where that mark is. Put your needle down into that mark. Sew. All right. Now, you'll want to do the same here. So you can clip in here. Clip these edges. So it lays better. But you just want to clip up to the decafill. Don't clip into your don't clip into your stitching. Okay. So now you can clip here, across the sides, so it lays flatter for you. Do the same thing over here. I am just cutting that off. There we go. Alright, so you're not going to be able to see this probably. I don't know if you can see it. I'm just sewing in between from this mark here, from that corner where we made that mark, over to this one. And I do the same with this side. Squish this down. Put your foot down and put your needle down in that mark. And when you get to the corner, you've got to kind of roll it a little bit. Okay. All right. Just to make sure there's no holes. Okay, so now we're going to grab our scissors. Okay, so now we're going to grab our scissors and we're going to trim this down to 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Do your sides first. And then do your front and your back. Okay, now we can turn this. And then we'll work on the lining. So I think what I am going to do for mine is what I usually do is I clip the bottom. Just so it lays better. I usually do this on most of my bags, just to get it to square up good, really good. I'll usually leave that on there about an hour. And take this over here. Molly May. Shh. Okay. All right. So we will set this aside. This is how it looks right now. We'll set that aside for right now, and we will work on our lining. Okay, everyone, I'm gonna have to stop this video because it's gonna be going over way over 2 hours if I put the whole thing on it, and my video editor that I use doesn't let me do more than a 2-hour video. So on the second video, it's going to be called Finishing Up the Monique Satchel, and it is going to be the zipper overlay pocket in the lining piece, and putting the bag together and doing the top stitching, and then it'll be done. So I'm gonna link it right here or right here. So go over to that link and finish watching this video so you know how to make this bag. See you over there.